Fareed Zakaria, The Future of Freedom, A Liberal Democracy at Home and Abroad. Embark on a journey exploring the rise of democracy and its implications on liberty as you delve into The Future of Freedom, A Liberal Democracy at Home and Abroad by Fareed Zakaria. Discover the key factors driving democratization, such as technology, wealth, and the decline of communism, and learn how this power shift influences global relations, smuggling, and terrorism. Analyze the differences between democracy and liberty and the importance of constitutional liberalism for securing individual rights. Take a closer look at the challenges faced by countries such as Russia, China, and those in the Middle East, as they struggle to balance democracy, liberty, and economic development.
The rise and challenge of democratization. Democratization, the powerful political trend of the last century, has spread globally, driven by technology, wealth, and the expanding middle class. However, democratization and liberty are not the same, and the spread of democracy has reduced the power of governments in favor of corporations, NGOs, and capital markets. This power shift has contributed to growing struggles with centralized state power, including smuggling and terrorism. Despite its challenges, democratization is here to stay, and its power continues to be fueled by technology and cultural shifts that decentralize control and grant greater power to the individual. The roots of liberty. The rise of the Christian Church in Rome after 324 AD marked the beginning of the origin of liberty. The Church gained public control, challenged and influenced the state, and was exempt from taxes. The Magna Carta outlined boundaries between royalty, aristocracy, the church, and towns. The advent of trade fairs and capitalism created a middle class in England and led to the growth of wealth and power. In America, the basics of consumerism, entrepreneurship, and liberal democracy were already in place. The link between liberty and democracy was often broken in 19th-century Europe. Link between wealth and democracy. Weak economic development is the biggest threat to global liberty, as per capita income of a country contributes to liberal democracy. Social scientist Seymour Martin Lipset proves that the mortality of democracy is directly linked with the riches of a country. A rich country brings a power base of middle class and business community that is not subject to political or state sponsorship, hence providing a reliance on formalized laws and being more responsive to society's needs. Countries with poor economic growth endanger liberties. Countries like Romania, Croatia, Turkey, Iran, and others with higher per capita incomes can develop democracies. Economic liberalization is one such concept, which is being tested on a grand scale in China. Although the Communist Party still controls political power, China has opened its economy to capitalism, resulting in per capita income rising from $1,394 in 1980 to $3,976 in 2000, lifting some 170 million people out of poverty. Illiberal democracies and the challenges they face. The book's summary examines illiberal democracies, using Russia and China as case studies. It delves into the root causes of Russia's political and economic dysfunction and how Vladimir Putin centralized power to increase the state's control. The summary also examines human rights abuses in Latin America and the Middle East and how Muslim fundamentalists view democracy as a Western concept. What would happen if a country elected a new leader and he became a dictator, suspended civil rights, closed the courts, and dismissed the legislature? This is precisely what happened in Russia in 1991 and 1993 when Boris Yeltsin introduced policies that Communist Party conservatives resisted. Although he was widely elected, Yeltsin became a popular autocrat in an illiberal democracy. Today, Russia and China are the two best-known examples of illiberal democracies. One of Russia's fundamental problems is its rich economy, which is struggling to modernize. This is because the state owns most of the economy, and citizens do not pay taxes since the state's revenues come from rich natural resources. Additionally, the state has not felt it necessary to produce public services, instead building a vast defense industry and supporting proxy communist governments in the Soviet sphere. Putin has centralized power, limiting press freedom, using the law to push his agenda, and silencing opposition. Similar challenges are present in Latin America, where 10 of 22 countries have a history of human rights abuses. In the Middle East, while most Arab governments are intolerant and rely heavily on bribes, they are comparatively better than the fundamentalist regimes that would supplant them if they were to topple. In several areas, Muslim fundamentalists see democracy as a Western form of governance that should be rejected in favor of Muslim theocracy. In conclusion, illiberal democracies are facing significant obstacles on many fronts, and addressing these challenges will require a concerted effort. The modernization of Muslim countries. The Middle East has fallen behind the West due to the lack of democratic systems, representative elections, and the involvement of religious establishments to determine the law. Arab economies are solely based on natural resources, leading to a lack of public pressure for accountability and reform. Islamic fundamentalism fills this void, and the Arab governments fail to meet their country's political and economic needs. Arab leadership requires economic reform, constitutional liberalism to rein in fanatical clerics, and encourage free trade agreements while discouraging anti-modernism. The implementation of these reforms would provide a powerful engine for change. The book highlights the call for self-control and restoration of balance between democracy and liberty.
As we conclude our journey through the future of freedom, it becomes clear that while democracy has spread around the world, liberty often takes a back seat. Illiberal democracies, marked by curtailed individual rights and weak economic development, pose a significant challenge to global advancement. The rise of constitutional liberalism is crucial for protecting individual liberties and fostering economic growth. Countries must work towards striking the right balance between democracy and liberty, with a focus on developing a strong middle class and establishing democratic infrastructure before rushing into elections. As Zakaria emphasizes, this is a call for self-control and a restoration of balance, vital for securing the future of freedom.